whatever you want. I've been a wrestling fan for. I'm 18 years old now. I would say 15 years I've been a wrestling fan. 15 years since I was probably 3 years old. I've been watching the show, and boy, oh boy, have I been taking a mental note of how it has went down the drain um, in the past couple years. It has been dreadful. And I'm sorry if I sound so unenthusiastic right now. It's because, there really is no enthusiasm to wrestling anymore. Um, we've been seeing AEW now on TV for the past month, and as you can see on the screen, it says AEW is decent. Because from what I've watched, it is consistent. It is It is like a blast from the past. It's I can tell you this. It's a much better show than what WWE is putting on for you both the Wednesdays, Mondays, and Fridays. It is definitely a much better show. It makes sense what AEW is doing, like the storylines they're going through. It makes sense. It has logic behind it. It doesn't make you ask any more questions of why it's happening. You can literally just sit down and enjoy it, not ask yourself a million questions of why this is happening, like you're watching some Bobby Lashley and Rusev segment. Um, but let's save the AEW talk for a different time, and let's talk about WWE, the show that just continuously gets worse and worse and worse and worse as the hours, minutes tick down to another Monday Night Raw show, to another Wednesday NXT show, to another Friday Night SmackDown show. When NXT was on a network, it was fine, but this television crap is killing it. Not killing it as a good way, it is stabbing it in the heart, kind of killing it. Stabbing it straight in the fucking heart, or the ball sack, whatever you want. WWE Monday Night Raw has proven to even the dumbest of fans that it is the most terrible show on television. It makes absolutely no sense. If you've been watching wrestling for 2 years, maybe even 6 months, and you tune into this past Monday's Monday Night Raw, it would leave you saying, what the fuck am I watching, and why is this on national television? That's literally the question that everyone is asking. See, usually when you bring up WWE to a fan that isn't necessarily a wrestling fan, they'll say it's fake. But in 2020, and if you mention WWE and you're like, why are you watching that nonsensical bullshit? That's it. There's no mention about how fake it is. It's this, why are you watching that nonsensical bullshit? That's it. There's no fake mentioning. It's just nonsensical. That's it. And I can't agree more. I don't know why I'm watching it. Actually, I stopped watching it about 2 years ago. It was so bad. Now I'm just watching YouTube clips, and it's still bad. Um, it's really pathetic. It really is pathetic. The only wrestling show I have the balls to watch on national television is AEW. Um, and that's not just because I'm an AEW mark. I'm not. I don't see AEW. Look, AEW is fine. They have a lot of good wrestlers. It makes sense. The storylines make sense. But when I watch the show, I can't help but to feel, is this like a regular TV show, or is this like, kind of, I don't know. There's just something about AEW that screams like a one night only event. It just screams like it doesn't scream, this is going to be on television forever, you know what I mean? It screams like it's like a part-time deal. I don't know how to explain it to you, but when I watch AEW, I guess it's just because I've been watching WWE for so long, but when I watch AEW, it just doesn't feel like it's gonna be around forever, and I don't know if anyone else feels that. But it just feels like I'm watching a special event, not a weekly televised show when I'm watching AEW. I feel like I'm watching like AEW Double or Nothing, just a one-time event, supposedly. I'm feeling like I'm watching a show that's has a lifespan. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's directly cause of because I'm watching a terrible show called the World Wrestling Entertainment or what. Like I said, I've been a fan since I was 3 years old of wrestling. I wouldn't necessarily say WWE. But when I genuinely say that if you've been a fan of wrestling for more than a year, more than 6 months, you watch this show on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you feel absolutely nothing. You don't get excited. The biggest problem WWE has is it's so goddamn predictable. It is so goddamn predictable. It's like I'm watching a Blue's Clues episode. Okay, gentlemen. Well, okay, kids. What color starts with a P and ends with an R? Purple. Wait, does purple? Purple doesn't end with a fucking R, right? Google it. Google it. I'm just gonna say that. Google it. I'm not the smartest branch in the book. All right, sorry. But it's so predictable that it just doesn't have that. It's like whatever. But let's talk about Monday Night Raw this past week. So the new tag team champions, the Viking Raiders. First of all, the Viking Raiders blow dick. They suck. They absolutely suck. I know they're good wrestlers. They're good wrestlers, okay? That's something I'm trying to say. They're good wrestlers. But how I know they're good wrestlers is from watching their old matches from ROH, from Ring of Honor, from places outside of the WWE. That's how I know they're good wrestlers. But when I watch WWE, I think of two fat guys wrestling a bunch of jobbers, getting fucking fruit raspberry belts. It's just all I see. You know what I mean? WWE puts them in this spotlight where they're making them go up against some Brooklyn jobbers, some whatever fucking Cubs, wrestlers dressed as Cubs. I don't know. Cubs as in the baseball team. I don't know either. That's why I made this whole thing. I don't know what the fuck is going on from the back of my hand in this show. I really don't fucking know. And that is the biggest problem here. Is nobody knows what the fuck is happening with the WWE. Ever since that pay-per-view, it just screams that this show is going under and it will not be on television for longer than another 2 years. That's what it screams to me. This show makes me cringe at the fact that I've wasted so much time caring about wrestling. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. The amount of trouble I could have avoided by not being a wrestling fan in my personal life is astonishing. Like every single time I try to make new friends and I mention I'm a wrestling fan, it's bad enough that I get called gay and that shit's gay and that shit's fake. But now, but that was back when it's actually good. What about now when I tell people I'm wrestling fans now in 2020? What are they gonna say? They're probably just gonna straight up fucking whack me. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's 2020. It is 2020. If you can't make two guys kicking each other in the fucking face cool, you have no business being on television. You know what I mean? If you can't make two guys fighting on national television exciting and fun to watch, then I don't know what the fuck you are doing on television. If you can't make two guys fighting on national television fun to watch, I don't know what you are doing. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you are doing. I mean, that just sounds ridiculous. If I think of two people fighting on national television, I think of something fun. I think of something I need to watch. But when you think of WWE, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? The whole brand split between Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown has been a complete waste of my time. Genuinely, I liked it when there was no individual brands better. I have been a wrestling fan since the brand split from back, Raw versus SmackDown days in 2009. I've watched that. I know what a brand split is, but this brand split with the roster they have now does not work. It does not work, and I think that's a big part of why the show does not work on television. Is because you keep hiring these people who man, I don't want to offend anybody. I really don't. But when you think of WWE's roster, you can't help but to think about moonsaults, backflips, fucking, acrobatic, shit. It's just like, yeah, it's cool to watch, But when you're doing backflips 60 times in one match, and you're doing fucking 50 super kicks in one match, and you're doing all this shit that you could eventually break your neck, and it just, it gets boring. You know what I mean? It gets boring. And this is when people need to smarten up. You see nobody in UFC doing fucking double backflips, triple 450 splashes on anybody, and they're getting better ratings. UFC is getting better ratings than WWE. So when is the flips and shit gonna be realized as, okay, that's not, that doesn't equal ratings? But when are they gonna smarten up and realize actual win-loss records, wins and losses matter? Fighting, striking with your fist and feet, standing on your 2 feet, not fucking jumping, ricocheting off each fucking rope. When is the real fight game gonna come back? That's what they need to do with wrestling. They need to make it a fighting sport, not a wrestling entertainment sport. It has to be a fighting sport, and I know it's wrestling entertainment as a whole. I know it is. But when you're on national television, you should not address it as wrestling entertainment. You should address it as fighting. That's one thing that I love about AEW is they wins and losses matter. It's like actual fighting. I know wrestling isn't, but when you watch AEW, you were tricked in believing this is actual fighting, and that's the way it should be. That's a good job. If you were actually getting tricked at the end of a wrestling show into believing, wow, these guys actually hate each other, that is the tall tale sign that your show is unbelievably good. When you watch WWE and the commentators are forced to say every 5 minutes, and I don't think I'm fucking illusioning this, every 5 minutes they have to say, this is World Wrestling Entertainment. I feel like I'm watching a Blues Clues show that's going to be off the television in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, when I watch WWE, it just screams fucking Nickelodeon. It just screams Nickelodeon. I mean, Jesus Christ, is Ricochet gay? Oh my God. Alright, fuck it. I'm gonna offend some people. Ricochet has been the worst pro wrestler I've ever seen in my fucking life. Ricochet, by far, is nothing to me. Ricochet he can do flips and all that, but he sucks. He fucking sucks at making me believe that he is an actual fighter. He sucks in making me believe that he can actually be world champion one day. He sucks in making anyone believe he is a fucking huge star. Alright? When you watch The Rock on any interview ever, when you watch any fucking star that come from wrestling, John Cena even, when you look at that guy, you think to yourself, that guy can kick my fucking ass. But when you look at anyone from the WWE locker room, besides maybe a handful of people, you're thinking to yourself, why is that guy on television when 9 times out of 10 I could whoop that guy's ass backwards? This is the problem with wrestling today. When you see guys on television that you genuinely believe you can kick the shit out of, what makes you want to watch them anymore? You want to see guys that you know without a shadow of a doubt can kick your ass, that can fight. Right? When I see Brock Lesnar, I don't think, I don't think, I can beat that guy in a fight. I think nobody can beat that guy in a fight, and that guy deserves to be on television. When I see John Cena and I see his huge fucking biceps, I don't think I can beat him in a fight. I think that guy can beat anyone in the fight. You know what I mean? But when you see 5-foot guys with, little tiny abs, with little tiny fucking arms, who is bald as a whistle, doing flips and shit in back of the ring, you can't help but to think to yourself, how easy would it be for you to tie that guy in a knot? You can't not think about that. And that's what I think about. When I see WWE and I watch SmackDown and I watch Raw, the biggest thing that comes to mind is how less sense this makes. How very much so this does not make sense. That's the biggest. This is just a sentence getting branded in my fucking brain. Of this shit does not make sense. 2 wrestlers who used to be friends, who used to be best friends. It's like this. You want to know something that doesn't make sense? All right, lights are on. 2 guys hugging. Lights come off. Lights come out. They're all fighting. What happened in that fucking 2 weeks? You know what I mean? It does not make sense. It does not make sense. They are making irrational decisions. They are making terrible storyline decisions. They are doing shit that's already been done in their own product. WWE is just a recycled product. And AEW, it's only been on national television for less than 1 month. And it has screamed originality. When you hear wrestling fans saying every original wrestling idea has already been used, I challenge you to watch AEW for 2 hours on a Wednesday night and tell me that. AEW is breaking boundaries. AEW comes up with original concepts and original thoughts in their heads to put storylines in each other's heads. Some things are, a little recycled from WWE, but that's okay because a higher percentage of the show is actually original. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if one subject's, you've already seen that before, whatever. You already seen that kind of storyline before. That's whatever. But when 98% of the show is something you've never heard or seen it before and you never thought that could be an idea about a wrestling storyline, that's awesome. That's fucking awesome. And that's the biggest fucking thing about WWE is they have no original ideas in their head. They need to get rid of every single pay-per-view except the Royal Rumble and fucking let me sorry, I'm getting caught up. If I was the owner of WWE, if I was Vince McMahon, I would take out every single pay-per-view, scratch them all out. There's going to be no more Hell in a Cell. There's going to be no more Money in the Bank. There's going to be no more Survivor Series. The only two pay-per-view shows I would keep is fucking WrestleMania and Royal Rumble. That is it. That's the only thing you need from the past generation. Now, you forced yourself to come up with original ideas. That's what WWE needs to do. They need to back themselves in a corner. They need to get to work badly. And I just don't think WWE is actually understanding what's going on right now. I just don't think they're actually understanding that if they keep going down this road, within 2 years, they are going to be off television. And I know that sounds silly because every single week they say they're the longest running episodic TV show in WWE history. But it's not true. The world has changing. Television shows are getting canceled way more easily than they ever been before back in 2000s because it's all about the media now. It's 2020, it's all about the media. I don't think that anybody would regret kicking WWE off their network television show at all. At all. I don't think anyone would. Because it sucks. It doesn't make sense. And the fans that you do manage to watch on national television are usually the ones that are on fucking Twitter bitching afterwards. You know what I mean? None of your fans. What WWE needs to realize is no one likes them. Nobody likes them, except the 5-year-old that believes the shit's still real and doesn't know about it. Storylines, or they just think they're actually seeing two guys fight. You know what I mean? But the bigger audience, the men that actually will pay your wages are the men that have actual jobs. Those are the men you should be catering to, you know what I mean? The people that can actually pay out of pocket for your show, not the 5-year-olds that only go to kindergarten and have like $0 under their name. You know what I mean? Kids won't pay your fucking taxes, WWE. The adults will. So maybe you should cater to the adults a little more, you know what I mean? WWE, I'm making a prediction right now. If WWE doesn't change, they're off television. They're going to be like Netflix pretty soon. They're going to be all network shows. They're going to be Netflix. I know it is going to happen in my lifespan where WWE is no longer on national television every single week. I know it's going to happen. I know that for a fact. But I think it's gonna happen sooner than we all expect. And that's something to watch out. In AEW, I fear the same thing. AEW, it doesn't matter how good AEW is. We all know how good AEW is. That shit's gonna be off television too. Because what WWE does is an exact impact of what every other wrestling show has. If WWE sucks, people are gonna believe at any type of wrestling sucks. You know what I mean? Because WWE is the biggest wrestling show ever. So when they see AEW, a second-rate WWE show, they're gonna think, oh, that shit probably sucks worse than WWE already sucks. You know what I mean? Wrestling is not gonna be around forever, and that's what people need to understand. That if shit has changed this fast in 20 years, what's another 20 gonna look like? Do people actually think it's gonna get better? Do people actually think the wrestling ratings are going to go back to 20 million every week? Do people actually think people care enough to turn on their televisions in 2020? No. You need to find a better way that has something to do with the internet to get your wrestling show across. Because the national television show, it's going down the drain every single day. It doesn't matter if it's wrestling or just a talk show. National television is over. It's over. Everybody needs to understand it. It's over. There's going to be no television shows, new television shows coming on national television in the next 20 years. It's all going to be reruns because the network, the television is dying. WWE is dying. AEW is good. All right, I don't know why I'm making this video. It just seems like a big waste of time talking about WWE because all it does is waste my time. Man, I just don't know what to say anymore. This show sucks. I've been watching it as a kid. It feels like a big chunk of my childhood has been ripped out of my fucking soul. It sucks. It fucking sucks. And AEW is okay. It is decent. None of this is gonna change the fucking world. This is gonna change the wrestling industry forever kind of shit. No. No. No, it isn't. Alright, yeah, we all like the fucking AEW because we all hate WWE. But let's be fucking honest here. AEW is not going to single-handedly save the wrestling business. Okay? It is not. And just for Christ's sake, AEW, please, get the World Heavyweight Championship off Chris Jericho. Get the World Heavyweight Championship off Chris Jericho. I get it. He's a great wrestler, but you're not even using him to be a great wrestler. You're just using him as a meme, and that is something that shouldn't be a World Heavyweight Championship. I get what AEW is doing. They're trying to connect with the culture in 2020. They're trying to make, just about everything funny to make it a meme. I get it. But when Chris Jericho, when you watch Chris Jericho on AEW, you would think he's a comedian, not a wrestler. I don't know. I don't think bad guys, people who portray a heel on national television, shouldn't be making you laugh. You know what I mean? They shouldn't. A wrestling bad guy should be a bad guy, a person that makes you fucking hate their guts, not someone that makes you roll around the floor dying of laughter. Chris Jericho shouldn't be a comedian. He should be a heel. I'm done, man. I'm done.